So there I was, watching the most beautiful sunset my entire life. I closed my eyes, the rays were on my face, it warmed me. But the most interesting thing about this was that I was at peace. I was finally at peace after 10 years of constant fight and constant struggle. I recently just lost my wife. She divorced me while I was overseas after my 6th deployment. And the monster that my family saw that I pushed away really caused me to want to make different decisions. And so there I was, I found myself sitting, watching the sunset. I had a gun in my right hand, and the sun was coming down to the horizon, so this was my last sunset, and I knew it. And as the sun started to drift and started to go down, I started to think to myself, it's gonna be okay, everybody's gonna be okay. I'm not gonna scare my kids, I'm not gonna scare my wife, I'm not gonna freak out the daggone mailman. And I knew that as I moved on from life, everybody would be fine. And with 15 minutes go to below the horizon, I just sat back, took a deep breath, and something amazing happened. My son walked in, and he said, "Dad, are you ready to go eat?" Totally derailed me. I was totally in another state of mind. And I told him, "Yeah, son, I'm gonna go eat. Give me a minute." Backed away from the table, put the gun down. And I decided that I would get up. I took him out to dinner. We went to barbecue B-dubs and I sat down, we ordered some food, and I looked right across from him. I saw how beautiful he was. And what I did not take into consideration was what he would have saw later on. I did not play the tape all the way through. Had it not been for my son to walk in that day, I would not be here talking to you guys today. And so when you ask me, do I believe in magic? Yes, I do. This talk is about agrotherapy and the conditioning, or how to condition vets to their new normal. And we're going to go through that. And I know that was a powerful thing, but I had to let you guys know the impact that what this day means for me and why I'm here. My name is JonathanJackson, United States Army Ranger, served with the 75th Ranger Regiment. I did 6 tours, 2 to Iraq and 4 to Afghanistan. I lost a lot of buddies along the way. At war is where I feel most comfortable. When I got here, there was nothing for me to do to become or utilize my skills or to be engaged. There's a lot of confusion. There was no programs for a disabled vet like myself to be involved and to use my skill set. So I created a nonprofit called Stag Vets. And as a ranger, we have this thing called sua sponte. It's a Latin term for of their own accord. Grab the bull by the horns and do what you need to do. And so that's what I did. I said, you know what, there's nothing out there for vets. I'm going to create it. And so I created this organization called Stag Vets. And at Stag Vets, what we did, a bunch of problem solvers, think tank, and some beer drinkers. One of the things that we decided that we would do, we create Comfort Farms, which is the first acute veterans crisis agriculture center located in Georgia. And I'm going to tell you guys about that today. And so I took my team, said, hey team, this is what we're going to do. We're going to talk about how we're going to solve the root causes for veterans all throughout America, starting with issues that I have. And so I sat them down and I had this, and I explained to them how we're going to use agriculture to do this. Well, my arts director, Melissa, she stopped me and she said, John, she goes, you guys are like, you're like butterflies. And I said, hey, Melissa, never use the word butterfly and ranger in the same context, okay? But one of the things that she told me, she said, no, listen, she goes, you know, you guys are like caterpillars. You crunch, munch, and destroy, and then you go into the cocoon phase of your life. And then what you're telling me from what I'm hearing you say, John, is that your organization is going to come in, you're going to help, you're going to mold, shape, and condition, and then your guys turn into butterflies. And I said, you know, Melissa, you have a pass to call me a butterfly, you know. So it was a beautiful thing. And that's what we're going to talk about today, guys. We're going to talk about how war transforms you, or a vet, and for you guys to understand what vets go through. And we're going to talk about this first step, which is the caterpillar phase. In war, crunch, munch, and destroy caterpillars, we are conditioned to be warriors. That's what we love to do. That's our main function, is to go out, hunt down the enemy, close the distance, kill them, high five, come back home and drink a beer. That's it, okay? But one of the things that we also do is we come back with the memories of war. And we come back with that on us, and we just can't necessarily give that away. What we end up doing is going into what they call the cocoon phase, the mush phase, the phase that we don't know where we are, where we've been, where we're going, or even why. And so when vets come home, we deal with this, we deal with the mush of life, being in the cocoon phase. We struggle with, who we once were and where we're going. As the caterpillar, we were conditioned to be warriors, but as to be civilians, we're not conditioned to be a civilian again. And so that's where we are in the mush phase. Vets have a hard time trying to adjust in civilian life, and I understand this most at the night when I watch, or as I watch that sunset coming through. I understood that I've reached the pinnacle in my life, that I was not going to deal with it anymore because of the programs that never existed. We have so many vets that have killed themselves to suicide, over, I would say, 100,000 since the war started. We've only lost 5,000 in combat. That's a huge proportion. That's crazy. Who's talking about this? What are we doing? And so I set out to do things that was going to be impactful for our vets. And by creating this farming place, it's a way where vets can come and get conditioned. It's not going to heal you, but it's going to give vets the tools to actually weather the storm when the storm do come. And so this is where we are, down in Milledgeville. We created this awesome place called Comfort Farms, named after my ranger buddy who got killed in action. And on Comfort Farms, what we're able to do is we're able to take a veteran who may be disconnected with his family. We'll put him with some sheep, we'll put him with some goats, and then he's developing the skills, not necessarily to be with his family, but he's developing those emotional skills that he once lost. Because in war, if I'm playing table tennis with my buddy one day, and I have to clean up his brain matter the next day or his teeth, I have to really disassociate myself from that action and go on, because next day it could be me. So we lose a lot of that, and our families don't understand those things. And so when we come back home, we try to engage with them, but we're on a different level. The farm is magic. The farm works in a way that we can't understand, and I call it the conditioning effect. As we are conditioned to be warriors, the farm can condition us to be human again. And so this is what we do. We get vets out there. They're just loving life. They're touching animals. They're playing. And I get vets that tell me, John, I wish I had this after I got out of the military for 1 year just to press my reset button. This is all that I want to do. And I train vets, help vets, do everything for vets. I do things for myself. And we go out and we're just having a good old grand time. And the movement is growing because a lot of veterans are feeling this is what natural green care looks like. We even had Andrew Zimmerman come out to do a show with us on the Travel Channel for Bizarre Foods, and that was pretty cool. He said my rabbit was the best in the world, by the way, so just you guys know. And as you can see, friends, the evolution of how the happy faces of people who didn't have happy faces before, they feel involved, and that's what we do. We create a place for them to feel involved. For me, my personal family is probably one of the big attestments to what we're doing as being right. Because now I have a relationship with my kids and my wife again in a way that I never thought I would. Absent of the VA, absent of medication, I'm able to work on the farm and do things in a way that has been truly magical for me. So how do we do this? How do we go about this? I'm in a position right now where I can sit down, I can evaluate, and I can put things in place. You know, and as a ranger, my whole thing is I want my vets to have the tools to do. So I have concussive disease, I have traumatic brain injury, I have post-traumatic stress disorder. I want vets to come into a place not to feel that they're bombarded by therapists and researchers. I want them to actually do work. And so what I've done was calibrate with organizations like Ponix, who has created for us a system that's totally automated to be able to farm. I have memory issues. I can't remember this. I didn't even do a script. I'm here talking to you guys just based on how we actually do things. But what we're doing is creating a farming institution where folks who have these concussive diseases, like athletes or folks who have been in car crashes and things like that, they can come and work on the farm. They show up disabled, they leave enabled. And that's what we're able to do with a lot of this technology. So there we are in Milledgeville. We just started a year ago with all of this stuff. And what our plans are is to grow more of these facilities around our VA centers, around our colleges, around our local food movements. I tied in a food movement component because veterans want to serve again. And who's the best to serve right now than small farmers, to get small farmers local access to what the community needs? There's a big fight between big ag and what you want as a local consumer to be able to get in your communities. We're starting a movement. Right now I have veterans who are willing and wanting to be participants to get in and to lead this movement. I have to give them the tools. Once we show that Georgia model is right, we're going to move on across the nation. I'm doing this without any federal funding. I'm doing this with just the power of a grassroots organization being able to give. You give me $1, I stretch it out to $2 with blood, sweat, and tears. And no legs, and dogs, and families. Because we do it all. It's a community event, and it's beautiful. Right now, there are veterans who are thinking about committing suicide, and I want them to read this slide. It says, just when the caterpillar thought the world was over, it became a butterfly. So I'm talking to you, if you're going to be watching this, put the gun down. Put the pills down. There's life after this event. Play the tape all the way through. Realize that the greatness that lies in you is just in reach. What may be bad right now won't be bad tomorrow. It's just temporary. StagVets, the organization that I created, is here for you. One of the greatest things that I was able to do in this journey, and that I felt when I really got the when I really knew it hit home, was working on this farm, stopping one day, listening to the birds, thinking about my family, realizing all the lives that I'm affecting right now. And the one thing that came to fruition for me was that I was able to learn how to love myself again. And so with that, I'm carrying on the messages of my brothers and my sisters who are struggling, the families who are enduring every day to do what they need to do, the community who wants to be a part of what we're doing. We're making some headway in this effort to lead not only a food revolution and taking care of our communities, but also taking care of vets from the root down. Our vets need to serve again, and that's what we're going to do. Thank you.